The rented truck lumbered into Maple Street like a weary beast, its engine coughing under the burden of our uprooted lives. Boxes piled to the ceiling, a chaotic testament to our exodus from a cramped apartment into the unknown. The air inside was thick with the musk of cardboard and the faint tang of sweat as Dad wrestled with a stubborn sofa, its bulk refusing to surrender to the narrow doorway, his gruff curses slicing through the tension. Mom, ever the orchestrator, darted between tasks, her checklist a lifeline clutched in trembling hands, her voice a staccato rhythm as she confirmed we hadn't forsaken essentials like the family photo album or Liam's art supplies. Yet, as we stepped onto the curb before our new home, the chaos dissolved into an eerie, almost hypnotic calm, as if the street itself exhaled a sigh of welcome laced with something darker, something watchful. The neighborhood sprawled before us like a meticulously crafted illusion. Pristine two-story homes with facades so flawless they seemed sculpted, their lawns manicured to a golf course sheen, each blade of grass aligned with surgical precision. Late-model cars gleamed in driveways, polished to mirrors that reflected the golden afternoon light, while porches boasted seasonal decorations. Wreaths of holly, pumpkins carved with eerie grins, that belonged in glossy magazines, their perfection unnerving in its uniformity. The air was a heady blend of blooming jasmine, its sweetness cloying, mingled with the smoky undertone of barbecues simmering in backyards and the faint, chemical bite of chlorine wafting from unseen pools. Children's laughter echoed as they pedaled bikes without helmets, their carefree abandon a stark contrast to the tension knotting my stomach, while neighbors exchanged cups of sugar with smiles that felt rehearsed, their eyes lingering a fraction too long. "This is it." Liam's voice broke the spell, his 14-year-old skepticism dripping from each syllable, his backpack of art supplies, a chaotic jumble of pencils, charcoal, and sketch pads, slung over one shoulder like a soldier's gear. "Looks like a movie set," I countered, hefting a box labeled Ethan's books from the truck bed, the weight grounding me as I met his gaze. "A good movie set. Besides, you should be happy. You get the room with the big window for all your sketching." The house itself was a modest charm, its cream-colored siding weathered yet pristine, dark green shutters framing windows that gleamed like eyes, a wraparound porch creaking under a swing that swayed with the evening breeze, its hinges whispering secrets of past occupants. The privacy-fenced backyard promised Mom's herb garden, basil, thyme, rosemary, a sanctuary she'd already mapped in her mind, her fingers itching to dig into the soil. Inside, the afternoon light streamed through clean windows, casting a golden glow that transformed our second-hand furniture, scratched dining table, sagging couch, into relics of dignity. The previous owners had left no trace of themselves, the walls freshly painted in a neutral beige that smelled faintly of acrylic, appliances spotless as if scrubbed by ghosts, the air carrying a sterile hush broken only by the faint drip of a faucet Dad hurried to silence. He moved with the zeal of a conqueror, flipping light switches to banish shadows, running water to test pressure, his satisfaction a low hum in his throat. Mom unpacked kitchen essentials, pots, pans, a chipped teapot, her humming a soft melody that signaled peace, a sound I hadn't heard since our old life unraveled. "Boys, come help me with these boxes," she called from the living room, her voice a tether. "And Ethan, don't forget you have that psychology paper due next week. Just because we moved doesn't mean your grades can slip, right, college?" I nodded, the reminder anchoring me to my sophomore duties at Arizona State, where I commuted 3 days a week, the partial scholarship a fragile shield against tuition and my contributions to family expenses, a constant strain that gnawed at my resolve. This move, though, felt like a divine intervention. Dad's promotion to shop manager at Henderson Auto Repair had come with a 30% raise and full benefits. His hands, calloused from years of wrench turning, finally rewarded. Mom's new position in Mercy General's pediatric wing was the nursing job she dreamed of since graduation, her empathy a beacon for young patients. The timing was so perfect it bordered on implausible, yet I clung to Dad's words from our planning sessions, delivered over lukewarm coffee and takeout. Owner was motivated to sell fast, didn't even negotiate. Sometimes the stars just align. 2 months ago, that optimism had been a lifeline, a beacon through our financial storm. Now, surrounded by boxes and the promise of a better life. It pulsed like a heartbeat, though a shadow flickered at its edge, a whisper I couldn't yet name. I was hauling a heavy box of Mom's nursing textbooks, volumes on pediatrics, anatomy, ethics, when Mrs. Eleanor Henderson materialized on our porch, a petite figure carved from time, her silver hair pulled into a bun so tight it seemed to stretch her skin, her sharp blue eyes scanning us like a curator appraising artifacts. She bore a plate covered with a checkered cloth, the warm scent of chocolate chip cookies rising with the steam, a gesture both welcoming and laden with intent. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she said, her smile warm yet cautious, offering the plate with hands that trembled slightly. "I'm Eleanor Henderson. My husband and I live next door." Mom accepted with a gratitude that softened her exhaustion. "I'm Sarah. This is my husband David. And these are my sons, Ethan and Liam." Mrs. Henderson's gaze lingered, memorizing our faces with a precision that felt invasive, her eyes narrowing as if weighing our worth. "It's wonderful to have a young family on the street again. The Weatherbys were lovely, but, well, they moved rather suddenly last spring." "Job transfer?" Dad asked, wiping his hands on a shop rag, his tone casual but probing. "Something like that," she replied, her smile tightening, a crack in the facade. "Actually, I should mention, I'm sort of the unofficial neighborhood coordinator. We have a few community guidelines that keep everything running smoothly." Liam perked up, his artist's curiosity igniting, his dark eyes glinting with the thrill of the unknown. "What kind of guidelines?" Mrs. Henderson's glance darted around, as if the manicured lawns might eavesdrop, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "The most important one is about the nighttime disturbances. Every night at exactly 2:22 a.m., there are knocks on the doors throughout the neighborhood. 3 sharp knocks, an 8-second pause, then 3 more. We don't know who or what causes them, but you must never open the door or respond in any way. Don't look through windows. Don't call out. Don't even acknowledge that you hear anything." My eyebrows rose, my mind racing back to abnormal psychology lectures. Community-wide delusions, shared psychotic episodes, the power of suggestion weaving tales from thin air. "That sounds like it might be a prank," I ventured, aiming for respect rather than dismissal, my voice steady despite the unease coiling in my gut. "Or maybe, what happens if you open the door?" Liam interjected, his fascination a bright flame, his sketchbook already twitching in his hands. Mrs. Henderson's face drained of color, her smile fading into a grim line. "Bad things, misfortune, accidents, families torn apart. The neighborhood's prosperity depends on everyone following the rules." Her words carried the weight of scripture, each syllable etched with a conviction that silenced my skepticism, the air thickening with an unspoken threat. Around us, Maple Street glowed like a Norman Rockwell painting. Perfect houses, perfect lawns, perfect lives. A facade so flawless it felt like a mask. If this was delusion, it was a masterpiece of collective belief, its roots buried deep. "Thank you for the warning," Mom said diplomatically, her nurse's composure masking her unease. "We'll certainly keep that in mind." After she left, Liam unleashed a torrent of questions. "Do you think she's serious? What kind of bad things? Why 2:22 a.m. exactly?" His voice a staccato beat as he paced. I unpacked books in my study corner, the spines of familiar comfort, offering, "It's probably just a local tradition that got out of hand. Small communities develop shared beliefs, myths to bind them. Or maybe something actually happens," Liam countered, his pencil already sketching shadowy forms, his focus intense. Dad emerged from the basement, wiping cobwebs from his shirt, his laugh rough. "Sounds like small-town nonsense to me," he said, though his hands lingered on the deadbolt, testing it with a force that betrayed his words. That first night, I lay in my unfamiliar bed, the mattress creaking under me, textbooks stacked near the window like a scholar's fortress, the alarm clock's red digits a sentinel in the dark. Driven by scientific curiosity, a need to test Mrs. Henderson's tale against my psychology training, I positioned myself to document the phenomenon. At 2:20 a.m., The house was silent save for the occasional groan of settling wood, the pipes whispering like old bones. At 2 hours 21 minutes and 45 seconds, my pulse quickened, not from fear but from the thrill of anticipation, a hypothesis forming. Shared auditory hallucinations fueled by suggestion. At 2 hours and 22 minutes, 3 sharp knocks struck the front door, each a clear, distinct rap that reverberated through the walls with an unnatural clarity, as if the house itself amplified the sound. I counted 8 seconds of silence, a void that pressed against my ears, then 3 more knocks, identical in timing and intensity, a rhythm so precise it ruled out coincidence. At 2:24 a.m., the silence returned, heavier, pregnant with a presence I couldn't name, the air thick with a chill that wasn't there before. I resisted the urge to peek through the curtains, Mrs. Henderson's warning echoing, and lay awake, the precision of the knocks looping in my mind, a riddle I couldn't solve. Morning broke with the aroma of pancakes sizzling on the griddle, the kitchen filled with the robust scent of strong coffee, and a rare family breakfast that felt like a relic of better days. Dad's excitement about his new job at Henderson Auto Repair bubbled over, his hands gesturing as he recounted the shop's potential, while Mom glowed from compliments on her patient care, her smile softening the lines of fatigue. "Did anyone else hear knocking around 2:22 last night?" I asked casually, pouring syrup over my stack, the question a probe into their experience. Liam nodded immediately, his fork pausing mid-air. 3 knocks, pause, 3 more, just like she said. Mom and Dad exchanged glances, a silent conversation passing between them. "We heard something," Mom admitted, her voice measured. "But we ignored it, per Mrs. Henderson's advice." Her caution intrigued me, a departure from her usual curiosity, and I felt a pang of disappointment that they hadn't investigated. Over the next 3 days, we slipped into routines with an ease that bordered on uncanny. Dad thrived at the auto shop, his mechanical expertise, honed over decades of late-night repairs, finally recognized, his hands moving with a confidence I hadn't seen since our old life. Mom excelled in the pediatric wing, her natural empathy a balm for frightened children, her sharp clinical skills earning her instant respect among colleagues. My commute to Arizona State shortened, the quiet neighborhood a haven for studying, my grades in abnormal psychology and research methods climbing as if the move had unlocked some latent potential. Small blessings accumulated like offerings, Dad's $50 lottery win on his second day, a scratcher he'd bought on a whim, Mom's parking spots always available right in front of the hospital, a convenience that defied odds. Our grocery list met with unexpected sales, the items we needed appearing as if ordained. The internet installed ahead of schedule, the technician waiving the setup fee with a grin that felt too knowing. "It's like we're living a charmed life," Mom said on our 4th evening, watching Dad's favorite baseball team stage a comeback victory on our newly installed cable, her voice laced with wonder. "Maybe we are," Liam mused, his sketchbook open on the table, pencil moving in quick, confident strokes. "Maybe that's the point." "What do you mean?" I asked, unease prickling my skin, his tone carrying a weight I couldn't grasp. "The knocks," he said simply, his eyes fixed on the page where shadowy figures began to take shape. "Maybe they're not bad. Maybe they're why everything's going so well." His words hung in the air, a hypothesis that clashed with my rational mind, yet the pattern was undeniable. That night, I paid closer attention, ear pressed to the wall, the house's creaks a background chorus. At exactly 2:22 a.m., the knocks arrived, 3 sharp raps that echoed with a clarity that seemed to pierce the walls, followed by faint scratching, like fingernails dragging across wood, a sound that lasted 30 seconds before ceasing at 2:24 a.m. My rational mind offered mundane explanations, tree branches swaying in the desert wind, the house settling into its foundation, but the timing was too precise, too synchronized with Mrs. Henderson's description. The air grew heavier, the room shrinking as if the walls leaned inward, a watchful presence awakening with the sound. I vowed to protect my family, my psychology training urging caution, though a growing doubt whispered that ignoring the knocks might not shield us from what lurked beyond. By day 7, I transformed my study corner into a makeshift lab, My notebook a ledger of the phenomenon: 3 knocks, 8-second pause, 3 more, 2-minute silence, every night at 2:22 a.m. I recorded decibel levels with a borrowed app, noted environmental factors, the temperature drop, the faint hum in the walls, and sketched the house's layout, mapping the sound's origin. The consistency was remarkable, defying random chance. Each night a replication of the last, a ritual etched into the neighborhood's fabric. Liam caught me reviewing data over breakfast, his orange juice clinking against the table as he leaned in. "Just playing scientist?" he asked, his tone carrying an edge, a challenge beneath the words. "Trying to understand what we're dealing with," I replied, not looking up from my calculations, the numbers a shield. "The timing's too precise. Someone or something is maintaining this pattern with mechanical accuracy." "Maybe that's the point," he said, setting his glass down harder than necessary. "Maybe it's not random. You've been staying up listening, haven't you?" His accusation stung, but I nodded, admitting my vigil. That afternoon, Dad returned with news that Henderson Auto Repair had landed a major contract with the city's fleet services, his careful management earning a $5,000 bonus that he waved like a trophy, his grin wide. Mom's week mirrored his success. 3 supervisors complimented her care, the head nurse hinting at a day shift promotion with better hours and pay. "It's like everything's finally falling into place," she said, already planning a family vacation with the bonus, her voice a melody of hope. Yet Mrs. Henderson's words haunted me, a refrain in my mind. The neighborhood's prosperity depends on everyone following the rules. The correlation seemed too convenient, the blessings too tailored, as if orchestrated by an unseen hand. I decided to investigate, arming myself with a clipboard and the pretense of a college survey. My psychology background a tool to probe the community's psyche. I walked the streets, observing details I'd missed. The Carlsons' new swimming pool shimmering behind their fence, a Tesla parked with casual pride. Mrs. Patterson boasting of her son's Stanford scholarship, a last-minute miracle despite his average grades. The Hendersons' remodeled home, its professional landscaping a magazine cover, completed within the year. The evidence was everywhere, a tapestry of prosperity woven with threads of unease. Jennifer Walsh, a middle-aged woman with designer clothes and a perfect coiffure, approached as I paused by an elaborate garden. "Lovely neighborhood, isn't it?" she said, her smile warm but edged with something unreadable. "I'm Ethan. My family just moved into the house next to Mrs. Henderson." "Oh, you're the new family," she replied, her eyes narrowing slightly. "I'm Jennifer Walsh from Elm Street. How are you settling in?" "Pretty well," I said. "Everyone's been welcoming, though I have to ask, what happened to the family who lived in our house before us?" Jennifer's expression shifted, her smile freezing into a mask. "The Weatherbys? Oh, they had to leave rather suddenly. Family emergency, I think. Or maybe a job transfer. You know how these things go." Her eyes betrayed her, a flicker of knowledge she wouldn't share, and I pressed gently. "Funny, Mrs. Henderson mentioned they left in spring, but the house was so well kept, almost like they planned to return." "Well, some people are just tidy," she laughed, the sound forced. "The important thing is that you're here now and you're following the community guidelines." Mrs. Henderson explained about the nighttime disturbances, didn't she? The way she said community guidelines carried the weight of a covenant, her glance darting as if the roses might report us. "She mentioned the knocking," I said carefully. "Good. It's very important that everyone understands the rules. We've worked hard to build this community, and maintaining it requires cooperation from everyone. The families who don't cooperate, well, they tend not to stay long." Her warning lingered as I returned home, sharing my findings with Liam, who hunched over his sketchbook with an intensity that unnerved me. He revealed a drawing, an impossibly tall figure with elongated limbs, its face obscured but its eyes alive with a predatory intelligence. "I see it sometimes," he admitted, shading the figure's fingers. "Through the curtains. It watches." The knocks that night intensified, the door frame vibrating, scratching circling the house like a predator's claws, a low hum rising from the foundation, a dissonant melody that made my teeth ache and my skin crawl. Day 10 marked a shift, the pattern evolving beyond mere knocks. Whispers filled the 8-second pauses, faint at first, like wind through trees, but by day 11, they sharpened into murmurs I couldn't decipher, their timing too precise to be natural. By day 12, the entity spoke, mimicking Dr. Martinez's voice calling Mom. "Sarah, I need to speak with you about the Patterson boy. It's urgent." The inflection, the slight accent, the concerned tone flawless, yet hollow, as if read from a script. Mom sat bolt upright in bed, and I heard Dad's sharp intake of breath from their room. The next night, it was Dad's supervisor. "David, I know you're in there. We need to discuss the Morrison account. There's been a development." The voice a perfect echo, but lacking the man's gruff warmth. I lay in bed, listening to my parents' urgent whispers, realizing the entity was learning us, studying our connections with an intelligence that chilled me. My university research deepened the mystery. In the library's digital archives, I unearthed a decades-long pattern, families moving to Maple Street, prospering briefly, then vanishing under pretexts like job transfers or family emergencies. The most recent case, the Weatherbys filed noise complaints before abruptly withdrawing them, leaving furniture, personal belongings, even their cat behind, their departure so sudden it felt like flight. The pattern was clear. Compliance brought prosperity, questioning invited ruin. Liam's sketches multiplied, filling pages with multiple entities. Tall, thin shapes, broader presences looming like guardians, each drawn with a detail that suggested memory, not imagination. "I think there's more than one," he told me on day 12, pointing to a sketch of a shadow-limbed figure that appeared with the voices. "This one listens. Liam, you need to stop watching," I urged, but his eyes, darker than I remembered, held an intensity that aged him. "Nothing about this is safe," he said. "But maybe if we understand what they want, we can live with them." I countered. "Maybe understanding is what we're not supposed to do," my mind flashing to the Weatherby's fate. That night, day 13, the entity escalated, using Dad's voice with chilling accuracy. "Boys, I've been thinking about those rules Mrs. Henderson mentioned. Maybe it's time we stopped being so obedient. Maybe it's time we found out what's really going on here." The real Dad's voice cut through, controlled but frightened. "Boys, stay in your rooms. That's not me." The contrast, a stark revelation of the entity's limits. Voices paraded. Mom calling us outside, Mrs. Henderson inviting us for emergency cookies, my professor asking about my research, each technically perfect but emotionally vacant, like actors misreading their roles. The silence at 2:24 a.m. felt charged, a threshold crossed. Over breakfast, Dad set down his coffee, his face grave. "I think it's time we talked about what's really happening here." Mrs. Henderson warned us, but she didn't explain everything. She assumed we'd figure it out gradually. Figure what out? I asked, though I suspected the answer. "This neighborhood, the prosperity, the good luck, the opportunities, they come at a price," he said. "We have to ignore the nightly visitations completely. No acknowledgement, no engagement, no matter how convincing." "And if we don't?" Liam asked. Mom answered, her nurse's training evident. "Bad things, accidents, illnesses, financial problems. The families who engage, they end up having to leave." "How do you know?" I pressed, anger rising. "Because Mrs. Henderson told us after we agreed to buy," Dad admitted. "She hoped we'd adapt naturally." The revelation stung. My parents had known, yet chosen this path for us. That night, Liam's voice called from outside. "Ethan, I figured it out. I know what they want. Come see." The plea so real I leapt from bed, unable to let him respond. I reached the door first, turning the lock, pulling it open to face the unknown. A cold hit me, not the desert night's chill but a deeper frost, as if winter bled through the threshold. A presence pressed against my chest, vast and patient, its intelligence alien, studying me. When it spoke, my own voice echoed, "Liam, we know you now." The inflection perfect, the intent chilling. It brushed past, a sensation like ice water in my veins, claiming the house as the door slammed shut, the deadbolt clicking with finality. The consequences were swift and merciless. Dad's car refused to start, the mechanic finding inexplicable engine damage costing thousands. Mom's promotion was reconsidered due to vague concerns. Her joy dimmed. The bank froze Dad's bonus, pending an investigation into irregularities. But the supernatural toll was worse. Knocks came at random hours, lasting minutes. Scratching followed us through rooms. Electronics malfunctioned. TVs cycling static. Microwaves flashing numbers, my phone flickering. Shadows moved independently. Cold spots bloomed in warm spaces. A presence that never left. Liam bore the heaviest burden, withdrawing within days, his skin paling, his whispers of unheard voices a constant. His sketches grew darker. Families fleeing, children with hollow eyes, each a window into a nightmare. It's showing me things, he confided on day 16, his voice a ghost. Pictures of what happens to families who break the rules. Our parents convened a family meeting, revealing the entity's ancient pact, bound to Maple Street for generations, feeding on acknowledgement, growing with interaction. The Weatherbys tried to fight it, Mom explained. They researched, documented, brought in help. But it just made it stronger, focused on them. So what do? I asked, guilt a stone in my chest. We endure, Dad said. Resist further engagement. It will retreat to tolerable levels, but we're marked now. The price of prosperity just rose. The ordeal lasted 2 weeks. Constant pressure, escalating misfortunes, our peace eroding, but we held, refusing to engage. Gradually, the intensity eased, the knocks returning to 2:22 a.m., though never again the simple 3-knock pattern. Electronics still faltered. Liam never recovered, his eyes haunted, but prosperity persisted. Dad's job stabilized. Mom's pay held. My scholarship arrived. In the fog, I glimpsed movement, a reminder of our vigil. The knocking persists, softer but relentless. A price paid, a door never closed. Can you endure the nightly terror of Maple Street? Or does the thought of prosperity at a supernatural cost chill your resolve? Reflect on whether this tale suits your taste for dark, immersive horror.